It's so interesting.
It's so interesting.
It's so interesting.
It's interesting.
Welcome to It's So Interesting, where people talk about their work and life experience. I am George Spitzer. I have with me today Frank Goss of Sullivan Goss, an American gallery in Santa Barbara, California. Now, I wanted to ask you, now that you've been in business for 30 years doing this, that means you must no longer be very young. So, other than in thought, but the fact remains, you didn't plan on being in this business.
No, I did not.
As an engineer, you fell into it. You go from engineering into art, into business management, restauranting. Yeah. What next? Is there going to be what next?
I don't know. I don't have any more careers in me. I started life as a teacher, and I taught for 7 years at a high school, and the corresponding 7 years I taught at a junior college, and then I taught a couple of years at a university. And then I went into engineering and did that for a little shy of 20 years. And I am now in my final career and want very much to stay in I love this career. I get up. We live in the mountains behind the city of Santa Barbara. It takes me 15 minutes to get to work. As I'm coming down the hill, I'm going, wow, I really got a lot of stuff to do today. I'm really looking forward to getting in there. And by the time I'm here, I'm just like, okay, ready to go. That was that great... fired up and ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. That's me. By the end of the day, I'm worn out because I'm old and I'm tired and my back is sore. And it's like, I really want to get home. My home is very peaceful. We live in such a rural area. The big exciting thing for a day is to have 4 or 5 cars go by. Boring days are 2 cars go by.
So you're there very rarely taking a day off.
I work 7 days.
Yeah.
And all real art dealers, they'll tell you they work in a gallery maybe 5 days or 6 days.
Yeah,
No. When I'm at home, I'm sitting at a computer writing the history of the artists that I like and admire and whose history hasn't been written. We're working on a book on Ray Strong. You mentioned Ray Strong earlier. We're working on a book on Ray Strong, and I have lots of help. I have 7 authors working. You're a publisher. You know these things. We have set ourselves a schedule, and everybody should have drafts to me in October, and we rewrites will be in before the end of the year. We'll set the type is set today, of course, on a computer, and we'll go to press. I'm looking forward to it.
So you also, in addition to the restaurant, the gallery, education, and the university, you also publish books.
We do. We probably have done 20 books. It's not,
and that supports the business.
It does. They're all about artists.
Being a publisher, I can't imagine you making money at it.
I'm just trying to control the losses on that side of the house. But as you know, it's the sort of secret that only publishers know and only publishers will ever reveal is that you might tell me something is good, but until it's in print, it's not true. And it's really true. People look at a book and go, "Oh, wow, it's in print. It says this guy's a good artist. He must be a good artist." How I got into the business was I went the very most circuitous way. I married a woman who had been a gallery employee and who had a degree in art history from UCLA. And so I got in it as I was the husband of the owner of the gallery for more than 10 years. And I was an engineer during those years, and I sold my engineering firm about 18 years ago. And I joined her. And so I was the freeloading spouse for a long time. She is now retired for health reasons, and she's left this with me, and I try to take good care of it on her behalf.
You're also, you mentioned you were teaching in your earlier life. You're an engineer.
Yep.
What were you engineering?
Environmental engineering.
Environmental engineering. So you have the discipline and all that to do that. The appreciation for art, restauranting, packaging. It's and then you do gallery openings, which are creative affairs too. Yeah. Is there anything that you still would like to do that you haven't done?
I would really like to be more involved in writing than I am. I mean, you have the creative urge. And I'm always, if I'm awake at 9 and my wife goes to sleep or wants to watch television, I don't like television, and I'll go and sit at a computer and start my research at some part. And I love writing about really good artists about whom there's little known. I mean, I'm looking at the catalog from the Golden Gate International Exhibition in 1939, and I see all these artists with reproductions in there who I know. I mean, there were 600 American artists in there, and I probably know 350 of them. The other 250 I don't know. And I found a painting by a young woman, very young woman at the time, whose name is Mary Combs, and the painting was of a woman who was sort of splayed, seated in a chair, very attractive woman who just looked like she was ready to pull her hair out with the difficulties of life. It was such a powerful painting that I thought, well, I'm going to do a little research and see who she is. And I haven't been able to find out a thing about her. So now all of a sudden I want to know, who's Mary Combs?
Oh, so you're like a dog on a tear now.
Oh boy, I'll say. And there is at least one reproduction, and that exhibit was, there has been no exhibit in your and my lifetime on the West Coast equivalent to that. Mm-hmm. That was the last really great international exhibit that was on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. We haven't had any. Seattle had the World's Fair, but they didn't do a big art thing. And that's now a long time ago. That's probably 40 years ago. Maybe, no, 50 years ago. Was that 68, I think? There is a lot to be written, and the writing task is much easier today than it ever has been.
Oh, computers.
And because you can read Century Magazine, which has a lot of old stories about artists in it, you had to go sit with the Reader's Guide to Periodicals, try and find the era that the publication was in, then sit down and read the damn thing from cover to cover, a month magazine with 125 pages. It was just exhaustive. Today, all that's viewable online and searchable by word. And so what would have taken more than a lifetime, you could write if you had nothing else to do, you could write a really authoritative book about a gifted and famous artist about whom nothing is written in a year. Whereas before 2 lifetimes, you'd have to have a team of people working.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I very much thank you for taking your time to be with us, Frank.
You're welcome.
If you want to contact Frank, you go to the website for It's So Interesting, and there's the information.
So interesting.
It's so interesting.
So
It's so
interesting.
interesting. It's interesting.